Doing jalopy stuff.
Yes.
First. And I know we talked about rollerball.
Yes.
What other racetracks did you drive at?
Sherman.
Sherman?
I was a High Point man at Sherman and Rollerball and 5 Point all in 1 year.
Wow.
I raced at 28 different tracks altogether.
My gosh.
And I was competitive at most of them except Sharon. I could not get around Sharon. I get the car set up, I get around one corner, I couldn't get around the other corner.
Yeah. Now, if you had that kind of success at that early age, you making a living at that, John? Was that?
No, but I made real good money at it at times. 3 years I made money enough to buy a new car. My dream was to race at Stateline and E-race with who I thought were the best drivers. I think that Stateline had some of the best cars and drivers of any of the tracks around there, because their cars that would finish third and fourth at Stateline could go someplace else and win the race.
Oh, you were always known as the Flying Farmer, and
Pretty much.
And that was Prince of. Why was that?
I was a dairy farmer.
So a dairy farmer.
I had 39 cows when I first started driving for Russ Thompson.
Is that right? I never heard that story before.
I guess the first name would be Bobby Snars, because he won more than anybody else. But I thought myself that 9/16
Layfield.
I thought he was about the best of them.
Why was he so good? What was his reputation like?
Well, we always laughed about it. His right front fender was cast iron. He lay that right front fender into the car, and he was going by him.
Yeah, yeah. So you knew you knew he was coming by, or when he.
Yeah, he was, and I don't really think that he had the very best equipment, so he got all there was out of it.
Would be in that top tier of racers.
Well, Squirt Johns,
Right.
and I think at the last meeting, I told you that Ronnie Blackmare
Right.
was the cleanest winning driver.
Right.
And that next weekend, he brought me up a 30-pack of beer.
Did he really?
Yes, and I said, well, that's something you said. I said, what the heck did I say? I can't remember. I'd say it again. He said, you ain't getting another one. There was a guy out of Harbor Creek. He had it was a tank, but he had a real husky engine in it, and he could run pretty fast, but it weighed more than any of the other cars. And him, if you was going by him, you want to touch him just a little bit, just to let him know you're there.
Right.
But don't hit him very hard, because you're going to have a wreck. I drove for Russ and Barry Thompson. Russ was the father of the owner of it. Some guy said, Russ Thompson's looking for you. So I went over and he said, you want to drive my car? Oh, the guy wins with it the night before. And yeah. And that's just about what I did with it. I put my foot to the floor when they dropped the green flag. I'd fishtail coming off the corner, but every time I'd fishtail, there was a hole. It was just luck.
Yeah.
And so that.
But that's a technique of driving. I mean, you did it one way. Guys like, I guess, Squirt Johns would sort of drive differently, right? Sort of along the inside. And...
Well, Squirt strictly run inside, yes. But I just was showing that I could put my foot to the floor and I could get around the track. Yeah. But I was about half losing it in every corner.
Yeah, yeah.
But when I lost it just luckily where the opening was.
Yeah. It says here in a little story, you became a familiar name on the Erie Stateline circuit when the Thompsons put out a couple of garishly painted machines dubbed the Pink Panthers, number 38 and number 39. What did you think when they rolled out these unbelievable looking machines?
Well, I'd watched the 38 car run the year before. Willie Wilson drove it. He did good with it. And then when they built the other new one, and somebody else drove it for 4 weeks. And I just knew it was a well-built car, and they took real good care of the car. Used to, Bobby Snars and I, we'd start the tail end of the heat race, and we'd both run hard for a few laps, but if you couldn't get up in the money, then we put on a little race to the back of the pack and see who could come in last, and then he'd get to start ahead in the
Oh, really?
semifinal. And that darn Snars, he'd always wind up, we raced, we'd be back and forth.
Yeah.
And one night I said, I'm going to finish behind you. That son of a gun pulled in the pits. The last lap, he still finished behind me.
In the pits. I love it.
If you hit Tommy Dillon, there's a pretty good chance he would get hit back. And he could do it.
Was he that good?
Yes, he was very good.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. Well, Tommy was at the racetrack a few weeks later, and he had his bag with him. George says, Tommy's looking for a ride, and he was going to the late models. And he says, you're going for a ride. Because that's what Tommy wants. He wants to drive a car. And he says he'll get you, then he'll be happy. It'll be all over with.
You just wanted to even the score.
Well, I didn't spin him out. Oh, yeah, I did that right out there. Yeah, I see him put his suit on. I knew he had a ride, and I see what car he was in. He missed me the first time, but he didn't miss me the second time. George says, he's all right now. He did what he wanted to do. That's all over. He won't bother you anymore. So I think you've covered it pretty good, and you know what the public would like to hear.
Well,
And I shouldn't have told you the truth a few times. I should have said something the public would like.
Truth isn't always bad, you know. Tom Dill gave us some stories also.
a lot of his stories aren't going on the camera.
Oh.